This is not your normal podcast. Its purpose is to provide thought-provoking dialogue with a slighted perspective. Here we encourage influential conversations. Give us a listen, like and share. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Welcome to CEO and the Doctor.
Yo, see on the doctor. Not about to try to say what episode. It's been too long.
I don't even know what episode it is right now, so it's all good though. It's good to be back.
It is, man. I gotta apologize to you and viewers, listeners. I mean, shit, I don't know. I ain't had a good transition here to Vegas, man. I've been all over the place. No excuses. I realize, on days I'm not happy. I first found my happiness when I was going through this fucking vessel right here. So I think that if I keep that in perspective, that'll allow me to get back to where I'm supposed to be, get us back to where we're supposed to be. And that's just having a good time talking about shit, man. So, different day for like the third or fourth time since we started the show. That's always a varying thing. But it's good, man. We back, man. That's all that matters, man. We're not gonna waste no fucking time. So shit, man. You ready to jump into it?
Let's do this, baby. Let's do it.
Yes, sir. All right, man. I'll let you lead us off in the flash. Where we going?
All right. We're gonna start with this. This is, if everything goes according to the way that legislators want it to go, this is huge for how police operate. In response to George Floyd killing, something came up about active bystanders, which is the other cops that were there could have stopped Derek Chauvin and they didn't. So police unions are now considering taking an active role in ensuring that other cops that are around, hey, you need to get your boy. He fucking up. Yeah. So they're gonna hold it. They're trying to create an atmosphere where they're holding each other accountable. Instead of this blue wall of silence. Hey, I know he's a piece of shit, but I can't say anything. And if it starts at the unions, that's a great place to start. They wield most of the power in the police forces anyway. And cities have to negotiate with these unions about what the cops can and can't do, their pay, hours, etc. So, this is huge.
I think it is too. And we got to remember, man, this is and I don't even want to say it like that, but this is the 1 year anniversary today of George Floyd and what happened to him. So, now we actually read this article about a week ago about them changing their stance. But, everybody today was in remembrance of George Floyd's life and ultimately what that went in changing. Oh shit, is that you or me? I don't know what that was.
I'm good.
But I don't know. Something just rang. But anyway, like in his remembrance, unfortunately his life was taken. But from that, I think so much has been brought to light about policing and just general systemic racism and how things have been, in my opinion, like for years now, like kind of just shoved under the rug, like, oh, some bad shit happened with the cops, that always happens, move on, but not this one. This one actually, did the whole open and shut, brought everything to light. Derek Chauvin was convicted, the whole nine. So, as we think about that, we don't want it to always come to the point where somebody has to lose their life for change to happen. But ultimately, like we've seen it, well, not me personally, but when we lost Malcolm, when we lost Martin, those lives, actually transcended and meant more to the civil rights movement and I hate to use it like that, but ultimately we can remember them for what their life stood for and what they meant. Now,
Yeah.
we're not talking George Floyd and his personal life. We're talking about how a man at that point in time was begging for his life,
Yeah.
you know, and it
Human
was
being.
taken from him. Yeah, human being. So, uh,
It's anything good doesn't come without some sacrifice. It's unfortunate that this is the type of sacrifice that we as a society has have to endure before we can see some semblance of progress. Uh, we still got a long ways to go. So you know this is a step forward. I hope that it proceeds. I hope that it becomes something that's done nationally. Um, but it remains to be seen. So, you know, listeners, this is where that vote counts. So
sure.
elect the people that are going to push legislation that you want seen, especially if you are a person of color, or you agree that there's problems with how we are policed as a society.
Yeah,
This is where we hold them accountable.
that's 100%. So again, we send our condolences and our love out to George Floyd and his family on his 1 year anniversary of his passing. But I know the fight is still going on. He will, his memory, his spirit will live on. I honestly believe that if there is a force of change in our generation, it happened a year ago today. And I think that everyone, law enforcement, government officials, everyone, that was probably not the first time they couldn't, look away, but this was in their face.
Yeah.
Like there was, I mean, I think that there's other deaths we can bring up. Mike Brown, um,
Hmm.
shit, I forget the one that said I can't breathe. What was his name?
There's
Forget.
just
There's
too
so
many.
many.
There's
Breonna
too many.
Taylor. We can go on and on. There were so many others that were, it's hard for you to turn your head or pretend like you didn't see. But this one was
Hmm.
recorded live in your face, no clippings,
Yeah.
real world, real time, 9 minutes of in my starvation of life. That's truly what it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's no turning a eye to that. They had to face it up front. So I
Yeah.
think everybody's now holding everybody accountable, just like these police unions. And that's a good thing because we know the good old boy system, the good old boy club.
Hmm.
You've always talked about it. What is it, P? The immunity. Shoot, I can't think. I'm sorry.
Qualified immunity.
Qualified immunity. All that stuff has always just kind of been out there. And unfortunately, these cops kind of
Yeah.
operating on like, well, shit, they really ain't shit gonna happen to me. I know.
Yeah.
So, I'll let the lawyers take care of it. And from there, whatever will be whatever. But nah, I think it's time to change the stance on all that. And this is the first
Definitely
step.
time.
It's the
It,
first step.
it's it's probably way past the time, but
Yeah,
hey, there's no better time than the present. So,
that's true.
um,
What we got
man,
next?
this next one, 6 days after this asshole lost the election, he sent a memo to one of his generals. As well, he had it. John McAtee. He was one of Trump's aides. He sent him with a handwritten letter to retired Army Colonel Douglas McGregor, saying the president wants you to do this: get us out of Afghanistan, get us out of Iraq and Syria, complete the withdrawal from Germany, and get us out of Africa.
Now, I'm gonna say this like this: being active duty, still serving. I
Mm.
thought all this was pretty odd. And everybody has an opinion, and I'm just speaking purely opinion. So I'm gonna keep this, appropriate, for all positions. But with everything that was going on between, the now president and then the one that just departed, it seemed like some spiting was happening. Like
Hmm.
maybe a little sabotage. I don't want to get too crazy, but it was very weird, very, especially somebody who's been deployed twice in the last few years to all of a
Yeah,
sudden like I'm just gonna pull everything. That means
yeah,
that every mission is almost like obsolete. Like why were we
yeah,
doing anything? And
yeah.
so I don't know if that was to kind of make the next administration have a bit of a rough time. And I got some friends that are deployed now, so that puts some stress on them just because of the
Mhm.
situations, promises being made. You know, we all know that he kind of made a deal with, you know, the what's the name of them? I don't want to call them terrorists, they terrorists, but what they call the
With the Taliban.
the Taliban. Bro, I can't
Yeah.
think today. Jesus
We
Christ.
were supposed to stay there to help train them so they can take over security of
Yeah,
their own country.
exactly.
And that's been an ongoing thing. And the largest, we've always been, we've had a presence around the world for national security reasons and, um, providing security for our allies.
Right.
How do you just abandon your allies? You know,
It's a
we,
weird
we're
position.
we're part of NATO. We can't just fuck y'all. We just gonna leave Germany.
It was a weird position, man.
Yeah.
And you know, I kept a lot of my language to myself, but I was like, none of this shakes out to seem right. But then like saying most things come to light, you know, these reports now are saying, you know, that he purposely potentially pulled them. You gotta
Yeah.
wonder why, you know, like we can leave that up to
All
whoever
spike,
wanna,
bro.
you know, but we seen the debates, we
Yeah.
seen how, you know, his exit went and how
Hmm.
unclean and unpresidential that was. So why not, you know, take it the next step and say, you know what, I'm gonna make the whole defense, the whole United States defense. I'm gonna just put it on the fritz, and you deal with picking up the pieces.
Look,
So I don't know,
any
man. Wow.
anybody that's played any kind of pickup sport, any kind, all right. Usually, the one kid that doesn't play sports much or doesn't get picked a lot, he usually has the best basketball, the freshest softball, the still hard, nice
Yeah,
bat, or he's got the football that has the right amount of air in it.
right.
When things don't go his way, I'm
Good
taking
analogy.
my ball and I'm going home.
Oh man, and with the boys in the hood. I
Hmm.
told you don't
And
bring
that's
your
what
ball.
that shit amounts to. You
Right.
lost. Well, I'm not leaving without taking all of my supplies. Get the fuck out of
Um,
here. They don't belong to you.
it was definitely a weird situation, and it's to be continued because there are some deadlines that are coming due. And I
Yeah.
just wonder what's going to happen. You know, we said we was going to be out of Afghanistan by May. Then that got
Right.
bumped September, October. But the moral of the story is the Taliban, I don't know why I couldn't think about that earlier. They are expecting us to leave now. And now it's a whole other official in office, that being President Biden. So
Yep.
does that really work with his stance? I don't know. Like it just seems kind of strange to just uproot everything based on a whim.
Yeah.
So leave
Well,
that there, man. I don't get
you
paid to
can
do that.
expect things to get crazy over there if we just bail. It's going to
That
get crazy.
or shit. It's dual sided because it's probably going crazy if we just bail, and it's probably going to get
Yeah.
crazier if we don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
The,
And
the, like Shia and the Sunnis are going to start going at each other's heads again. And we're right back to where we were, what, 10 years ago?
not to mention
So,
everything that's going on right now between Palestine and Israel.
man, yeah.
It's and that was something that was, you know, when I was deployed this last time, we had a couple little tiffs,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like what's happening
Yeah.
now. Like it's full
Yeah.
fledged, like they going at it right now. So
Yeah, they are.
yeah, it's very unstable on that side of the map. But that's the Flash, man. I guess let's move into the first segment of news. It's pretty funny. So let's
All right. So
jump right into
you sent
that.
me this. So you talk to it. You sent me this, and it's just absolutely crazy, man.
So from what I can discern from this, and I'm sorry if we got
Mhm.
viewers who don't like, you know, a lot of explicitive, but rethinking the big ass. So basically, this dude, I don't know if this was their fantasy, they was just doing a thing. He basically was suffocated by his woman and her very large rear end. Now, again, we could just leave it up to our imaginations of what was actually going on. I don't know, but it was stated that he basically died because of suffocation due to her rear end over his nose and mouth. Now, in a world where we are still fighting COVID and we all trying to wear our N95s and other kinds of coverings, pretty sure the CDC did not, CDC or NIOSH did not approve big ass as a
No, we
COVID.
didn't say asses. We did not say asses. We said
Yeah,
masks. We did not say
ass, not
asses.
asses. But yeah, so they took him out, man. We can't make this shit up. We
No.
news just finds us, man.
Yeah.
So,
We
and
we
the next
we don't have to
news
search for
is
this.
a bit wild too, but we'll get to that. But yeah, man. So rethink the big ass. I mean, as men, there's times where, we do what we do, and just in relationships in general. But this is just funny. This is all I can say. I'm not trying to get too X-rated. This is just wild. So let your imagination run on how a man was suffocated by his
Yeah.
girl's butt. Just leave
Yeah.
it at that. Okay, man. So
Crazy.
we gonna move into Ask a Doctor, which for the near future, unless this just dies out
Yeah.
relatively quickly, will be centered around what did Kwame say. So this is wild, P. Like, let's start from the beginning
Man.
as best we can.
All
Let's
right.
start from the
So,
beginning and let's just bring this whole saga to light.
all right, we can go all the way back to when he was drafted. He was drafted number 1 by Michael Jordan to the Wizards, and he, for the purposes of a number 1 pick, he didn't pan out. He was 17, 18 years old when he was drafted. So when everything came off the rails, Stephen A. and others started to really just go in and hammer this 17, 18-year-old kid for not living up to what they expected him to be as a number 1 pick. Now, let's fast forward 20 years. Kwame Brown, most people probably like, until recently, were probably like, I ain't never heard him talk. He's never said a word. This man has been nondescript for 20 years, just quiet, living his life, doing his thing, right? Well, Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson have a podcast together. And they had Gilbert Arenas on there, and they were talking about something. And anytime that a draft or a trade or something comes up, Kwame Brown is always mentioned. Right? Oh, the biggest bust, blah, blah,
Biggest
blah.
buzz. Yeah.
And man, they unleashed the demon.
They did. And so there's some highlights that I have to put in perspective from my own view. I have many a times very blind just spoke my opinion about players, entertainers, whatever. I've said things like they're trash, they're whack, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. But we have to look at some perspectives here. Sometimes you have to hear something else to really humble yourself. So where I'm going with this is basically everybody that had an outlet initially, Gilbert Arenas, Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, Skip Bayless, Charlemagne, everybody was on the side of discredit to Kwame Brown. But he had he's had a bunch of different rants. You can go to his YouTube page and just look, and some of these things go past an hour. It's too much. And
they are daily.
Daily. But he made some critical points about Black men in a position of respect and having viewers making a living off of discrediting other Black men. And that fucking shit resonated with me.
Yeah.
Like wholeheartly, because in the community where we talk about we need to uplift each other, we need to support each other, we need not hate on each other. We are the culture that has it all but can't stand together to be one.
Right.
And when he said that, it took it down to my level. I have to live in my very logical level. I don't have the impact or the platform to affect somebody's career or life like they do, but with a few words. But I still have to realize what I'm even saying. I mean, just because I don't agree with something or I don't like something, a music or a team or a player or whatever may have you, is my initial thought process so like demeaning and rude and off the rocker that I'm not even realizing I'm still tearing down another man, another human being. And I think that's where it starts, with just decency. So say what you're going to say about my career, but still realize I'm in a position talking Kwame Brown that you've never been in. Right. How can you, Stephen A. Smith, now Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, they played in the league, Gilbert Arenas played in the league. How can you be the most vocal and just over the top, person because ESPN pays you, yet you've never been in one practice on the NBA level, let alone been in high pressure stakes playing with people like Kobe and Mike. So who the fuck are you to tell me anything and call me a bust when I done made probably more money over my time than you have?
He had a 12-year. He played for 12 years. This
Yeah.
man averaged 9 points, 6 rebounds.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
look, 2 points is hard as fuck in the NBA.
You're right. Right. And and what's real too is like Jalen Rose put something in perspective too. He's like, if you in comparison to Kwame Brown and a Tim Duncan or a Shaq or something, of course, that's not the same collective group to be comparing. But you still have to understand anybody that made it to the NBA is not trash.
Right.
Okay. They may not pan out, but on their best day, on their worst day, I mean, they're probably better than you've ever been on your best. If you're in that.
Doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I mean, I think we're all guilty of our impulses.
There you go.
We
Perfect.
Instantly, oh, he's trash. Oh, it usually comes from an emotional place instead of a logical place where we've given it thought and consider, hey, look, for one, no one really gave any thought to his background. This dude grew up in the South, broke, going to the store without shoes on, barefoot. Okay. Went from that, bought his mom a house on the golf course. Okay, look, all this shit is relative. It's easy for anybody to sit back and not know the full story and pass judgment. And, I would say Charlemagne, Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, and those guys were probably more off base, sharing what they thought, were really not knowing the whole story. Now, those were pretty much just one-offs as far as I know. The one that has gone in for forever is Stephen A. Now, Stephen A., and I was watching a video that Kwame Brown posted today. Like, you look at any time that Stephen A. is talking about someone of color, he's really, really going in, just killing this person for whatever. Now, on the flip side, if it's a white player, he's giving them the benefit of the doubt. He's talking a little nicer. He's considering him, he's still a person, although his game is not that good. Stephen A. has made a career of tearing down black men. Stay off the weed.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
Josh Gordon, yeah. And so for me, too, you have to put this in perspective. Like each person, and this is what makes his comeback more than just somebody who's just, you talked about me, I'm gonna talk about you. Because at first, I even thought like, well, I mean, I understand, like, you a grown man, you ain't gonna just let somebody slander you. So whatever, you quick to jump back on. It's almost like a diss track or like a rap thing. Yeah, but it's so much bigger than that because he's individualized, like done his research and individualized each and every one of them in their own way, to the extent of, like when Charlemagne came at him, and Charlemagne, I think mentally felt that he was doing something that was, I don't want to say it's not about right or wrong, but he thought he was taking a high ground by saying, look, like you said, you don't know where this guy's come from, this, that, and the other shit. He might be crazy. Like he said it, kind of loosely like that, not really thinking about his own stance. Like he's one of the big proponents of mental health and taking care of your mental health. And one thing in that community that you don't really want to fuck around with, and I've heard people like Brandon Marshall say this, and even Chappelle said shit like this. You don't call people crazy.
Yeah,
like,
you don't label them. You don't.
Yeah, you don't say the word crazy. Yeah. And so he should have known better just off GP, because that's something that he stands on. So then that became like a personal attack, because he was talking about his parents. He was talking about what his dad did, his brother did. And that went well beyond the game of basketball. Gilbert Arenas and, Matt Barnes and all of them, they initially started talking about just him on the court, not being able to cut the mustard. But then CTG took this whole other lane. And when he came at him, it was very personal. He started talking about, the allegations of the rape charge, or as he say, the lesser charge now, because he can't say the R word no more for defamation of character.
Yeah.
But,
they said
he put the lawyers on him quick. But it made him apologize. So he's apologized. Steven Jackson has apologized. And I don't know, man. Like this is another lesson that most people need to understand. I think in many ways, KD maybe tried to do this when people were attacking him, but
Yeah.
not with the same tact. KD's very emotional. And he just like, even I'm watching the game, he had a little emotional moment. Much different.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not trying to discredit him, but it's just saying, like, making a fake Twitter account and all this other weirdo stuff.
Right.
This dude is facing it head on. Like,
Man,
anybody can get it because
dude.
y'all started with me. It's something
He
to watch.
I got smoked on reserve.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said it perfectly. He is going after each one of them with valid points. It's not even emotional.
Yes.
It's literally like, all right, y'all been throwing stones at my house. You motherfuckers have not looked around and realized your shit's glass too.
And I mean, and anybody can get it. He didn't win at Ladies, Jamel Hill. He didn't win at
She apologized quick.
Yeah. He was like, look, I was trying to, say something in the manner of this is what it means. I mean,
yeah, it was just a Game of Thrones reference.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sorry, I don't want no smoke. Please. She's like, look, yo, I need to go back through all my shit, make sure I've never said anything bad about Kwame Brown. I don't want no smoke.
I think this is a lesson in life, though. You stand up for yourself in a way that you're actually being effective. Like, because we all seen, like, there's too much, I call it made for TV drama with these TV shows where they create a script and then all of a sudden there's beef and life and just Instagram stories and all this other nonsense. But again, all of this falls into the same realm of black people tearing black people down, and this is what the root of all this is. You can take out all his curse words, you can take out all derogatory references and all that. All that is just to give it some flavor. That's the clickbait. But if you sat through and actually watched 10 to 15, maybe even 20 minutes of each segment, you'd be like, well, nah, you know what? There's big facts here. Yeah. And so that's what I'm coming back to where I began now. This is what I had to really put in perspective. Even when we're talking amongst our circles where they don't even travel beyond us, I still have to be, mental enough to understand, like, my opinion needs not be irrational. It needs not be off the rocker. Let's say I'm watching KD. I don't agree with, him now making another super team or some shit like that. I'm like, you know what? KD is his own dude. That ain't something I'll rock with. You know what I mean? And just leave it at that. Because you're right. The emotional shit, that's too much. Yeah. It's too much. And I've been living I
think where I would sum up my point is, we can have criticisms, but they should not be broad based on one act.
Fair. Very fair. And I know for a fact, just being who I am, not being a hateful person or nothing like that. I am very, very, I can be very excited, emotional in the moment. You fuck with me all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? About LeBron or
because
some
you get in that moment. I like to keep you in that moment.
And I'll be quick to be like, oh, that motherfucker trash or this, that. And in all actuality, in all these things, these people have made it. And even if we want to use the amount of money earned, that can be how we're rating success. So I have no lane when we're talking about somebody that's a millionaire, that's played at the highest level, whatever. So again, opinions, even in your own circle, coming from the CEO and the Doctor platform, actually matter. These are still human beings, and just because you don't agree with something, or you don't have I guess a positive opinion, we still need to tailor the way we say shit. That's not being fake. That's being real. That's being a person, a human being who wants to be respected. Period. I mean, KD don't know me, so why do I gotta disrespect him even when I'm doing it amongst my friends and family, just watching the game and talking shit? You know what I'm saying?
It's to me, it goes back to when we have our back and forth about LeBron.
Right.
I'll never ever say anything bad about his life, his kids, his family, none of it, what he's done for the community. I laud all of those things, right?
Right.
I've always said, I just think that he should have went to college to get that killer instinct. He's got it now. He just didn't have it before.
That's fair.
Those have always been my criticisms. I've never said he was not talented. Oh, he sucks. He's not this. He's not that. No, hell no. Motherfucker's uber talented. I mean, otherworldly.
I have said, not that I've said KD sucked. That's asinine, ridiculous. But I've said, he's weak for his his positions in life, and because of that. That's made me feel a certain way.
Yeah.
And again, that's me being over
Yeah.
emotional. Same thing with Kobe. You know,
Yeah.
God rest his soul. I was not a Kobe fan because I feel like Kobe was a clone. But in describing my feelings toward that, it would be a lot of irrational speak, just ignorance. And I'd be like, man, fuck that. Kobe ain't shit. Like, Kobe's really good at basketball. You got to chill. CO, like, what the fuck you talking about? And I would never knock his game like, oh, he's
I'm
trash.
fucking planting my motherfucking feet firm right here. This is where I'm at. I ain't changing. Yeah.
But it's just how you come at something. And so to teach my sons, to teach respect from man to man, regardless of race, creed, whatever, we have to take all that other fucking emotional shit out of it and speak about a person in a very respectful manner, because ultimately that's what we want on our levels. So if another man knows me in the military, I want them to be like, man, fuck that motherfucker CEO. He a bitch ass. Like, where'd that come from? Right? Like, why is that all that called for? Like, we fell out.
What basis do you have? And really, that's what Kwame's been doing. What basis have you had to condemn my entire life to your opinion of how I play basketball? Like, for how you think I play basketball?
Damn. Basketball is one thing. The way he talked about like what happened in his life, exposing things that maybe people had to real life Google. I didn't know that shit. You know what I'm saying? And so you talking about his father and brother being, you know, murderers and all this other shit. He might be crazy because that shit might be in the family type shit. Like, man, what the fuck? Like,
see,
where'd that come from?
Those assumptions make you look like an ass. And he's exposing all of those things. And I really, you know, like you said, he's got a lot of profanity, a lot of extra stuff going on in there, but he's making some very, very valid points. And ultimately, you know, what the foundation of why we wanted to have this segment, why we switched the segment, was let's look at the overall message of what all of this means. Look, we're all complex people. We cannot put each other into a box and make assumptions and start attacking based on that one assumption. We attack the whole person. You can have a criticism of one thing that somebody's done, but you can't condemn their entire life, their entire existence because of that one thing. And that's what people have done to him for over 20 years.
And I just say, man, maybe it wasn't Kwame Brown for you, but it's been somebody. So examine that, whether it's somebody that's on a level that, you know, is beyond where you have a personal relationship, i.e. a sports player, entertainer, whatever, hell, a president. Or maybe it is personable and that's had you been at ends or odd ends with this person for however long because you can't talk to them in a way that doesn't, you know, boil your blood, so to speak. So that's something that I had to take from what Kwame is saying. And I keep listening each and every day, watching his clips, you know, because again, like, this is not just, oh, you talked about my mama, I'm gonna talk about your mama. I mean, that would have ended really quick, and more than likely he would have been the laughing stock in that, right? But because they were not ready for, you know, his tact, and you could tell that, like, maybe he wasn't just sitting there waiting to be poked, but I felt like he always had a side to him, like, I'm the wrong one. You know, that might not be some kind of violent fighter type thing, but for him to be a country boy, for him, you know, to come straight out of high school, a lot of people don't know much about him. And you kind of just say, like, well, out of sight, out of mind. Well, nah, boy seems to be educated. Boy's definitely involved, doing things for his community. Boy sure ain't hurting for shit. He ain't trying to be, you know, up in nobody's face. He was never like that. Hey, look at me. But he also, like, you ain't gonna just talk shit about me and don't expect me to say something back. So that's respect. That's respect.
No doubt.
So, all right, man.
We will revisit Kwame until further notice.
I guess we jumped to this news again.
Charlemagne has apologized. Stephen Jackson has apologized. So
yes, he should.
And none of us are above apologizing to the people that we've hurt. So, you know, if there's somebody you need to apologize to, just apologize.
Fair enough,
man. Feel better.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you take this next news. All right, avoiding the flames.
Man, so a lady in Africa, she was diagnosed with COVID. They felt that, well, doctors thought that she passed away. She's about to get cremated, man.
Like
And woke up.
seconds from being cremated. Seconds.
Seconds. Flame at the feet. And
Family
woke up.
said, go ahead with like, hey, look, don't resuscitate type
Yeah.
shit. I don't even know how this
woke
happened.
up. And she woke up
Before the
Woo.
door opened, and they
Yeah.
I'm
Man.
like, now come on, man. So sometimes you got to check. So I read this on a couple different sites. Like, all right, this is legit.
Yeah.
But that just tells you, like, and this is not a laughing matter. It's news because holy shit, like,
Yeah.
the family didn't called it, the docs didn't called it, cremator, boom, she pop up like, yo, what the hell y'all doing? I don't know,
Not as
man.
ready.
That's trauma
So,
enough. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Shit.
I mean, trauma on her side and trauma on everybody else's side. Doctor,
Well,
like,
yeah.
gotta be questioning, yo, do I know what the fuck I'm doing?
Yeah,
I thought she was dead.
Yeah, you might need to go under the review board. Like, how y'all missed it?
Yeah,
So,
how do you, you about to cook this lady, about to flame her up.
Wow, shit, man.
Wait, I'm still here.
I'm still here, man. So
Crazy.
the news, avoiding the flames. Wow one, man. Wow one. We dig every week trying to find these stuff for y'all, man. So now we're gonna go back to our roots. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've had a conversation like this. And I think it's time, man. It really is. Because I think we actually jumped out based on relationships. Back in season 1, we did our whole segment, the 3-part series about learning ourselves in relationships, talking about youthful ignorance and going through all the motions. We've talked about, things that I wasn't proud of, things you wasn't proud of. Like, relationships is our thing. And so we're trying to bring some of that energy because we've been hitting some hard, heavy other stuff. That's what makes our podcast unique. We're not your normal podcast because you never know which way we're gonna go. But this has been resonating with P for a while.
Yeah.
We had this discussion, man. It's been about a month or more. And it's a very important question. And it's a lot of shit that ties into the basis of what we're trying to ask today. So the conversation tonight is what has contributed to your perspectives on relationships. And I say that because for me, I know there's a lot of things that I have given the ability to define shit in relationships for me. That could be something as simple as music. It could be something that someone says. It could be a writer. It could be just, your friends, your circle, like persuading you to feel or think a certain way, or it's bad to feel that way, or it's weak to feel that way, or whatever they might say. And so ultimately, because we are afraid at the time to step out on that love, we let other people dictate it. Like the first thing you see on like a Facebook post after a breakup is all the comments of others saying, hey, you should have been done that. I told you about that, man. I wish you da 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 da. And unfortunately, I mean, that's none of their business at that moment. We don't even take the time sometimes to reflect on that was a year of my life, 5 years of my life, whatever the fuck it was. We just want instant gratification. And so you go to where you're going to get it. In this case, your social media outlet, and people going to tell you that motherfucker wasn't shit anyway. Or if you a male, man, I told you she was a gold digger, whatever the fuck it might be. And those things continue to define how you feel about, relationships and other shit, common dumb sayings, what I'm saying? Women a dime a dozen, blah, blah, blah. Like all this dumb shit allows you to formulate shitty opinions about your love life and what love means to you. And before you know it, you're off the fucking rocker and you have no definition of what it means for you. Here goes me raising my fucking hand. And y'all read my book, or if you haven't read my book, go check it out. Memoir from Within. You'll find out just how long I allowed other shit around me, plus my own internal fucking flaws, to define something that is as important in love. So Pete, go ahead. I'm gonna let you jump in.
So my view of relationships has evolved over so many years. I mean, 28 years of marriage, not to mention all the bullshit, that I invited into my life and into my marriage, that affected me along the way, that affected my relationships along the way. Um, I think at this point in my life, I would say bravery. And bravery affects my relationships now more than ever because I like to think that I've reached a point where I'm comfortable with who I am, especially my flaws. I'm not perfect by any stretch. I'm more apt to fuck up a relationship than I would care to. Um, but I think having an awareness that I can fuck up a relationship keeps me on my toes. It keeps me in a place where I know the signs of what can take me down a dark path, a place where uh, those mistakes can happen. And I think that that's the thing for all of us. You know, any male or female, especially men. I think our ego and our pride prevents us from looking at ourselves critically and understanding this is where we're falling short. These are the things that I can't let rule me in my relationship with this person that I love. Uh, while I love her, that's not enough. I need to respect her. I need to respect our relationship, and I need to understand that these are my fault, my flaws. These are my fuck ups. And if I allow these things to fester, if I allow these things to take over, my relationship is in peril. It's doomed. So bravery. And it takes, I think it takes bravery for us to look at ourselves critically and understand the bad things that make us who we are.
No, I can definitely relate. I think if I'm going back to, the old me, I think what truly contributed to my perspectives was a fear of something, a fear of being rejected, a fear of being told you're weak, you're sprung, you lame, that's whack.
Oh my
Like I said,
God, man.
loving a girl is stupid and weak and dumb, and you a scrub for that.
Hmm.
So after I had my initial run-ins with
Yeah,
love and best and definitely being a fool again. So that's how I
yeah,
thought,
yeah,
and I'm gonna talk about transitioning. But as I evaluated my first, run-ins with love and my heartbreaks, all of that made sense, which then led me to say, I'll never have pie on my face again. And that's how I
right.
lived my life for a very
That
long time. And
that
then
is a
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
such a destructive place. Man, I'm glad you went there. That is such a destructive place. Oh
Yeah,
my God. And I think that every guy goes through that first heartbreak
yeah,
and it sets us off on a path of fucking destruction. Because look, when that shit happened to me, I felt like, all right, the best thing I can do is protect myself. And in the process of protecting myself, I'm just gonna wreak havoc.
yep. Yeah. And wreaking havoc wasn't like, for me, it wasn't something that was personally driven. Like, this happened to me, I'm just gonna fuck
Mhm.
people over. Wreaking
Right.
havoc was like, I truly don't care. Therefore,
Exactly.
have nothing
Exactly.
to lose. And that's
Yeah.
that's the flip side. As I talk about now, what has contributed to the perspective of a relationship is that I definitely know that I have something to lose. I'm invested. I was never
Yeah.
invested enough before,
Right.
much past the simple truth of caring about somebody. Like, of course, like, if I'm with you and we have established some type of relationship, I don't want nothing bad to happen to you. I don't want to wake up
Yeah.
to a phone call or text like all of a sudden, such and such has passed away. I
Right.
look at shit in such simplistic manners as my actions will not have any bearing on this person going forward. I'm
Yeah.
doing me.
Right.
But these individuals, they carry the pain that I carry to try to bury. So now
Yeah.
they're carrying my pain with them in their future relationships or just in their life in general. And I didn't understand that. So
Yeah.
again, there was no investment. It was almost like, well, here person is managing my money. I'm just gonna give you the same amount. Don't tell me shit. And then one day I ask
Yeah.
you broke. I'm like, oh well, fuck it, okay. Like, that wouldn't be how you manage your money. So damn sure it shouldn't be how you manage your heart.
Yeah.
Because you become dead inside as well. Didn't understand that part. Didn't understand that there's going to be a day when you don't know how to connect and you're not going to
Mhm.
understand it. Like, what does
Right.
it mean when I'm disconnected?
Yeah.
Well, years of living that way and not having any cares in the world
Hmm.
puts you in a place later on in life where you need to feel something and you can't. You're
Yeah.
upset with yourself because you're like, well, how can I be married to this person now for a decade, right? And I
Mhm.
know I'm supposed to feel something right here, but I can say something as simplistic as, well, if it don't work for you, it don't work for me. Let's just go
Right.
our separate ways. That's
Yeah.
10 years of your life. That's
Yeah.
memories, moments, experiences, the whole thing. And you don't have nothing much more to say than go about your way. There's a
Yeah.
hole in your heart.
Yeah.
Clyde didn't
Yeah.
understand that. CO was
Yeah.
struggling with that
Yeah.
for real. Real shit.
And I think, well, I know I struggle with that. Um, I struggle with this one very, uh, one very distinct thing. I think that there's a fear that if we love someone unconditionally, we give ourselves to somebody unconditionally, um, we lose ourselves. Look, you can't tell me every man wants somebody to love them.
Yes.
Every man wants a woman to love him or his significant other. We want to be loved. How we go about finding that is usually the issue. Well, like you touched on, you're a simp, or early in your marriage, how many times did you hear, "Oh, you pussy whipped"?
Let me
Like,
let
man,
me
I'm supposed to be pussy whipped. I'm
yeah.
married.
Let me check in with the lady. Ah,
Like, what are you talking about?
again. Hell
You,
yeah.
you get all this outside influence and critiques of where you are in your relationship, and an adult, a mature self would be like, "Oh man, fuck yeah, I'm doing me. This is my woman. This is my life. This is my world.
This where I am now. Right.
Yeah, this is where I'm at." But nah, that egotistical, prideful motherfucker's like, "Oh man, they might be right.
Yeah. I ain't trying to be ridiculed every time I'm around this motherfucker.
Yeah, I
So
don't want to have to deal with this shit every time I'm with them, man. So yeah, they might be right." So you
yeah.
you don't talk about that great dinner that your wife made you, or your girl made you, or you picnicked, or you did all these things. You don't even share those stories with your boys. Deep down you want to, but you don't want the ridicule is coming. So you really don't give that investment into your relationship that you should, because man, I don't know, they might be right. No, they're wrong. They're wrong.
Yeah. And that's just it. That's the maturity factor. And there
Yeah.
is no measure of maturity, meaning like there's not on a time frame. It's not on any type of like, oh, one day you just know. Maturity becomes over failure. So there's a lot of people who are with somebody today. And I hate to say
Hmm.
it, I'm gonna just say it like it is, that is truly not their first choice. It's truly maybe not
Yeah.
even the person that they feel like they might have should have been with, but they have
Right.
lost that, over time. They lost that in the
Mhm.
past. And so to now be happy, we sometimes, like you started this with, their sacrifice. Sacrifice
Yeah.
might be in the fact that you're not with the one that maybe you felt you were destined to be.
Yeah.
I'm not a person that 100% believes in soulmates and this, that, and the other. I talked about
Yeah.
that in my book. I feel like
Hmm.
you have multiple soulmates throughout your life, but I
Yeah.
do believe that there is a life partner
Hmm.
that you are destined to be with. And ultimately that life partner may not have everything that you quote unquote want. That is
Right.
to the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? That we're
Yeah.
not building the individual we want to be with. We're searching,
Yeah.
hoping to find the one we want to be with. It's much different.
Yeah.
If you build a car, you get to do whatever you want to that car, but you can't
Mm.
build a person. And we get into these bad
Right.
spots where we like her because she's beautiful. We might like her
Hmm.
because what her sexual personality says about her, but then we don't like her for her attitude or her character, the way she carries herself, because she stands up
Right.
for, she puts your ass in your place. But
Yeah.
then if you have one that doesn't really do that, and you're like, well, she's kind of a pushover, that kind of
Hmm.
like at some point in your life, you're like, well, damn, I need you to tell me no. Like I'm testing
Right.
you when you can't tell
Yeah.
me fucking no. That becomes a
Yeah.
problem. So therefore, we're never really fucking happy. So it goes back to what you said. You want somebody to love you, but are we willing to do the same? That's where
Yeah.
we lack. And I'm talking about
No
it,
doubt.
man.
Yeah.
We
As a man.
often don't
Yeah.
put that in perspective. Women are much more emotional and much more ready normally
Mhm.
than we are for relationships. We just like
Yeah.
comfort at times and we're
See,
afraid to say
I
it. Like,
always, I always viewed it like, okay, women seek relationships, men surrender to them.
there you go.
I've
There you go.
always looked at it that way. And that surrender part comes from man, she's got these 5, 6, 7 things that just really resonate with me.
Yep. She
I'm
cooks.
good with this.
That's
This
good.
works.
Pretty.
But
yeah. That fucking attitude.
But we're not looking for it. We're not looking for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you don't have these 6, 7, 8, 10 things. It's usually the first inclination is, wow, she's fucking beautiful. Damn, she's fine. And you go from there. Yep. Then you start to figure out and discover all these different attributes that either resonate with you or don't. If they don't, you might stick around for a little while longer, see if things change, then you're out. But at some point, you have to sacrifice some of those things. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be your most important attributes that you're seeking. You don't compromise those. There are some things like, look, I might leave a toilet seat up, down, whatever. It might piss her off. That's a compromise you make.
Yeah, that doesn't define who I am as a person.
That doesn't define it. Now, if she's weak and she just lets me get away with shit, nah, I can't stay here.
But and you see, and another thing to go along with that too is it's about understanding your own superficial objectives. Because everything you mentioned initially, she's beautiful. Oh man, we finally got to that physical point. That shit was great. Blah blah blah. These are the things that have defined your character since you were a little boy.
Yeah.
And you was not ready for a real relationship mentally at 13, 14, 15.
No,
so you've kept these same perspectives now at 34, 35, 36. At what point does the maturity kick in and you realize a lot of those other things become incentives? The truth of this matter is I need to understand who I am so I know what I'm looking for to help me, become a better me. That's what
will accentuate who I am and make me better. How do we interchange these things in a relationship to help each other grow?
That's what the partnership should be about. Exactly.
Right.
Both ways.
Yeah, both ways.
Because
he may be emotional about things, and we as men have to try to find a way to temper that emotion. Don't take it away, but temper it.
Yep. I think I would ask a question. A lot of times we hear this, and sometimes I feel like, and I think I've said it in times when I didn't really understand, but now I definitely know. We'll say just because it's what you're supposed to say, almost cliche, is the person you're with, your spouse, your significant other, that's my best friend. But is it really? Yeah. Because what are you basing that off of? I'm not just talking about spending time. She makes me laugh. I make her laugh. He ha ha. But your best friend in all levels, especially if you've had a best friend that, encompasses a good portion of your life, y'all have grown together. And this person knows you. So in my opinion, no way. And I'm just going to say, no weirdo shit here, but you got a male best friend. You've been kicking it ever since y'all were 12 years old. Now, we'll take your age, pay you 50. But let's say you just got married 5 years ago. There's no way your spouse is your best friend. It's impossible.
Because that person does not know.
Exactly.
You're still discovering each other at year 5. Hell, you're still discovering each other at year 10, 12.
So don't be cliche. Really search for why you're trying to have that person complete you and be your best friend.
Yeah.
And that's much more than finishing sentences. That's much more than, knowing her favorite color or she knowing your favorite meal. Those things don't create that. You got to find the value. And unfortunately, here on this show, we can't define that for you. I know what my value is.
I know what mine is.
Your value is absolutely. But what is your value that gives you that position? What is that perspective for that relationship at that point? It should be a combination of everything that you've ever dealt with leading up to that moment, because it's ever growing. You realize 10 years ago, maybe I could have been like, yeah, I'm cool with being divorced from the person I'm with. But 10 years later, you realize, even if you're still with her, why that would have been a bad decision, having nothing to do with children and money. That's what you always hear.
Because children and money come. They're the first things that always come up.
Yeah, we've grown so much together.
We got history. We got bills together. All this shit comes up first instead of the value you've created in your relationship.
Very true. And
that seems like is literally disposable in a relationship.
TV can't do it. Music can't do it. Your favorite non-fictional love book writer can't do it.
That picket fence shit don't work.
The the loveologists out there, the Derek Jacksons of the fucking world, shit like that. And I'm not kicking that man while he down. I'm just saying people make a living off of feeding into what you're looking for. So I can tell you anything you want to hear if you're willing to listen. And now you make that gospel, and before you know it, you don't have no perspective of your own of the very fucking thing you need to have. Your life, your goals, your career, your fucking spouse. We let everybody do that for us. Like, what do you want to be?
You went for answers outside of yourself. In your relationship, you got to seek your answers for yourself.
In life,
that's the only way it's gonna work. Yeah,
in life. Period. How many times you'd be like, well, what do you want to be? Well, the market tells me I should be in the computer world somewhere. Mom and dad said they want to be a doctor or a lawyer. Well, what is it that you want to be?
Yeah, what excites you?
I ain't never even thought about it.
In the context of your relationship, what excites you about your relationship?
What do you want?
Makes you like, oh my God, I want to go home to this.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be with her because of these, or him because of that. You know, and on the flip side, what's that shit that you like? Man, I can't stand this shit, because there's always something that you cannot stand about your significant other. But you know what you do? I love her just enough to have to deal with this shit. It's insignificant. I don't like that shit, but it's still insignificant. Look, Ev, man, I tell you what, the one thing she used to do, anytime we had a discussion and we disagreed, she was fine. I hated that shit.
Yeah.
Hated it.
That too. Whatever, Clyde. That's the worst.
Yeah, man, that fucking dismissiveness. I hated that shit.
The absolute worst.
But those are the things that you compromise for the overall value of your relationship. You know, you have to seek within yourself to figure out what those values are, and these perspectives that you have, that we grow to have in our relationships. They're ever evolving. You know, like you said, 13 years old, as a boy, we're looking at shit purely from the physical standpoint.
Absolutely.
I don't even know myself emotionally at 13.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
I don't even know myself. I didn't know myself emotionally at 35.
Look, man, I heard something. I wish I knew where I seen the quote, and I'm not doing any justice, so this is not verbatim, but it was like, love should be as beautiful as the life cycle of a flower. Right? Because you're going to go through phases of blossoming. And it's like, in all honesty, when that flower has lived as long as it's most beautiful right before it dies. That should be how love is. Because if you set something in stone, let's say you do have one of those, you know, I call it far and in between relationships now, where you be like, they celebrating their 50th year together, 60th year. They can look at when they were 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, what makes them happy now at 70, whatever it might be. And that's a complete life cycle.
Yeah.
You know, and over that 50 years, if we're using that as the analogy or as the standard, they learned and became best friends, and nobody can tell them at what year. It was at year 36 or it was at year 12.
Yeah.
Moral story is they are truly best friends. And I'm not saying everybody's cycle is going to go that long, because some people find love later in their life. But even still, your life cycle should still be like a flower for however much time you got. Because when you first buy it, we think that's when it's the prettiest. But in all actuality, it's not. Because if you watch that flower every day and it gave you happiness every day, the day that it perishes and it's time, you know, to move on that flower, you still feel connected to that flower. That's why people can love after that life. And that's something that at 21, hell no, that doesn't make sense to me. I'm not even ready to hear something like that or read something like that and even get any kind of value or purpose from it. But that's what shows the difference. You know, like I said in the beginning, fear drove my perspectives. Now, you know, the understanding of what I have and what can be lost drives that perspective way more than any song, any fucking movie, TV show, anything. So stop relying on others to tell you or make you feel a certain way. And then you create your viewpoints off of what they said. Most people can quote these shit. If there's a famous person out there that's giving advice, i.e. the Derek Jackson of the world, a lot of people can quote him more than they can quote, you know, something that they should know how to quote, whether that's a Bible verse or whatever it might be. I'm like, damn, is this dude that important to you that he could tell you how to feel? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a
nobody
human
can.
Yeah,
nobody can create the value in your relationship with you and your significant other.
That has to come
from a mutual investment from each other. You went over the life cycle of a flower. I can say in 28 years of marriage, uh, that woman knew me better than I knew myself. And she
Yeah.
was my best friend. Why was she my best friend? Because I could be my weakest self
That's
with her.
boy. And as a black man, we don't know how important that is because we shield all that, right? We
Yeah.
keep all that
Yeah.
in. But
Yeah.
sometimes that is what you need. You need to be able to break down, crumble, whatever it might be,
Yeah.
and then have somebody there to help you get back on your feet and
Yeah.
keep you in the fight.
Yeah.
And we see it all the time. So those are a lot of things that we don't even think about. We're not ready to have those conversations because we don't understand ourselves. That's why I said to open this segment, before you start trying to figure out who you want based on all this superficial shit, you need to understand who you are. And sometimes the prettiest girl you ever been with, or the one that had the best sex, or whatever you want to use, that might not be who you end up with, because that person doesn't have the connection or the substance you need to be in a happy relationship. Sometimes you get into one that just be like, look, you want a little piece of this? Come take some and go to sleep. Like, damn, like shit. I would love to have that wild ride, but you know what? The wild ride is you get off quick. That's like a roller coaster. You take that shit there,
You
or
got
you
10
really like
minutes.
having fun.
You
That's
got
just
10 minutes. I'm tired. I'm tired.
Yeah, you know, it's a different feeling at that point. You like, well, shit, it ain't the same no more. But that's just it. Like, we looking for the wrong ride sometimes.
Right. Yeah.
Get on the one that they ain't gonna never get off. You can just fucking set it and forget it.
Some aspects will never be the same as they were when you first met. Some aspects will never be the same as they were at year 5, year 10.
And that's just the way
it's all about growth and evolution.
Yeah.
You're going to find value in different things as you progress through your relationship, and as it should be, but what should evolve and increase in value is the emotional investment that you have in each other, and that trust that comes from that emotional investment.
And that is very important. And you have to understand what that means to you and solely you. And then once you understand that, you're ready to connect. Trying to connect before, you're really just, it's like a rental car, right? This is my last part of it. It's like a rental car. How many times have you gotten a rental car and you go to connect your device and it's 5,000 other devices on there, right? That rental car just becomes a vessel. And that's what you're giving, all of this empty energy to all of these different individuals, So like, I apologize in my book. I apologize, if I ever see these individuals, but ultimately you cannot take back the time that was there, but you can understand and you can have a heart and be humble about, I realize what I've done to you. It might not be in some really, really, really fucked up way, like I did X, Y, and Z. But even still, if you were trying to give me something I wasn't ready to receive, and that ultimately hurt you and affected you, when I was 19 years old or 20, I wasn't ready. I truly didn't understand it. So maybe I didn't care enough to even ask. But, at almost 40, you realize, well, shit, I have all these flaws, and people have imparted certain things on me. So I had to impart something on somebody, and it could have been negative. And that's all I'm saying. So don't be empty.
We definitely leave a mark. We all leave a mark on each other.
We do, man.
And it's important that we look for growth opportunities. It's not just an opportunity to just be in somebody's life. Those marks leave something behind that we can use to grow from, be it good, be it bad. If we, like you just said, if we've made mistakes, own up to those mistakes. Once you realize that you did it, for the most part, when we're young and dumb, we don't have the emotional intelligence to understand when we fucked up.
Right.
We just easily move on.
Yeah. That's right.
So growth is important, and a willingness to grow is important when we consider the perspectives that we can have on our relationships.
And that's a perfect segue, man, because in my final note, simply put, and I'm springing this on you, it kind of came to me while talking about all of this, man. Kwame, talking about the relationship. My final note tonight, real quick, simply put, man, is understand others. Know how you impact, either whether that's positive or negative, someone you come in contact with. And reason why that's important is because, you know, a lot of things as I get older, I'm discovering maybe it's real, maybe it's not. But I really am kind of into this whole like chakra thing. Like
Right.
energy is
Yeah.
something. Like energy. I mean, we could talk about energy when it comes to science, and you know,
Right.
science, everything started from a bang and then boom, it's just energy and motion, the whole thing. But that's
Right.
like every day. Like if I see you and me and you are boys and we work, you know, side by side, cubicle to cubicle, and I come in and
Right.
you don't look right. That
Right.
energy that you're putting into the world at that moment instantly affects me. So I'm like, well, what's wrong with P?
Yeah.
And you just like, nah, I'm good. And then like, well, now I'm like, well, shit, I was gonna come in and crack jokes and chill and what, but now I can't do that because he seemed off. And so what I'm saying is, even though something like that is light, we can then be dark too when you just got attitude. You walk into work and you like, fuck all this shit. Like, period. And you be like, well, damn, like that just set everybody off, man. And so I'm really about this energy thing right now, man. And I
Yeah.
really want to positively impact people. And I believe in blessings, and blessings come when you're putting the right energy into the world. You know,
Yeah.
and that's not always about giving money and all this other shit. It's just about being a good person. You always just say, if you drink coffee, buy a person a cup of coffee. Don't say, you know, this, that, and the other. Let them order. Hey, look, I got it. Oh, thank you. You know what? I hope you have a blessed day and go on about your
Yeah.
business. That energy may carry forward for them, and now they are
Mhm.
better. Like, damn, somebody gave a shit about me. I ain't know shit about that man, you
Right.
know, or, you know, whatever it might be. And that's all I'm saying, man. Like, I believe in energy. And I believe just as people, we got to put better energy in the world and care about people. And we got to start with understanding that, you know, something like a Kwame Brown situation, you might want to bring something to your podcast and say something, but am I saying it in a way that's truly affecting this man? Or are we just talking stats?
Right.
I could say, simply put, as a number one pick, I would
Mhm.
hope that he would have had a different career. Talk your points, talk about his scoring average, his percentages, whatever, and you'd be like, you know what? If that was a franchise, we was hoping for a little bit more. Leave it at that.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's all I'm
Yeah.
coming from. You don't have to start attacking character and all that shit. So my final note, man, just put the positive energy into the world. Real
Oh
shit.
man, appreciate that. Appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir. Yes,
This
sir.
world is cynical enough without us adding more cynicism to it. So no matter how I feel, I try to get myself in a good headspace before I start my day, and then I go
Yeah.
about it. If I come into contact with strangers, try to be my genuinely nice self. I mean,
Yeah.
the assumption is always a big ass bald black man. Oh my God, he's mean. I don't. No, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm probably one of the nicest people you ever meet.
Exactly. Big heart. So, you know, for me too, man, it's just I realize now I've been struggling. I wake up every day and I'm not
Mhm.
putting that positive energy in there. I
Right.
don't want to go through the motions of going to work, doing a military thing. I'm ready to be done. And it ultimately that
Yeah.
brings me down. That brings people around me. I don't come home happy. I don't leave the house happy. But I still got to value life, you know.
Yeah.
It's value the small things. This podcast, my kids, my wife, my
Mhm.
parents. So I have to find a way to, you know, talking to myself now, bring that
Yeah.
energy back. Cause you know me, I'm generally a happy person. I like to have
Always. Yeah.
funny. And
So
so I just been a ball of negativity, man. And that ain't who I want to be.
as
Real shit.
as someone who's been where you are right now, just think back to just before I retired. All right, just
Yeah.
think back to then.
You had a lot going on, for sure.
I had a lot of stuff going on, but I never, I let go. I let go of the military, not my relationships with the people,
That's
but I
true.
let go of the construct.
That's it. That's what I need to learn how to do
Yeah,
while still
because
being in it without it
yeah,
being negative. That's
yeah,
fact. That's
because
fact.
you can let go of the construct and still take care of all your responsibilities, nurture the relationships that you have with the people that you're responsible for, the people that you work with, work for, all of these things. Because the foundation of your career, the foundation of everything that you've done for your 20 years, it's not the job, it's the people.
Big facts. All right, man. Well, shit, we approaching minute 70, so we over our 60-minute mark. But this has been the
That's all
conversation
right.
we
That's all
needed.
right.
This was a good one.
Yes, indeed.
I felt the energy. I'm happy. I'm gonna check out this Lakers Suns game.
I'm
Um,
about to turn this shit on too.
yeah, so I'm feeling good, man. So P, it was good to talk to you. Apologies again about not being consistent. Way
No,
to
that's
call me out. Way
that's
to put.
us.
Look,
That's
look.
us.
We started this thing together. We're gonna
Yeah.
ride this thing to the wheels
Yeah.
fall off. So you're right. consistency is key. So Marcus jumped on today. He said it was good to see us. You right, big bro. It's good. It's good to be back. So we got to keep that consistency for all of you, man. So to the next show. This has been CO and the Doctor. We appreciate you. You guys have a good evening.